They say blonde is a personality, but in 2026, I believe it's a science. And we've all seen the Pinterest boards filled with icy, high maintenance hair. But the conversation in the chair, in my opinion, is definitely shifting. I feel like clients are trading cool tones for that healthy hair. And if you haven't mastered, and I'm talking to you, stylist, the cashmere glow, then I think you're falling behind. So, today, you guys, we are joined by a master of the lightener, Mrs. Amy Whitaker, someone who works with blonding services as her specialty, who is here to help me answer some questions you clients are researching. And of course, we're going to have fun doing it. Amy, welcome back. So
Thank
excited.
you. I'm so glad to be back.
Yes, I am always happy to have you. We have so much fun. You're so relatable and you know your shit, more importantly. Love it.
Try.
All right, so I want to dive straight into what people are Googling because I have done my homework. We're seeing a massive spike in searches for buttercream and teddy bear blondes.
Yes.
And I think for years, stylists were terrified of warmth. I know I still am, but now it's the ultimate sign of luxury. So, Amy, how have you navigated that anti ash conversation with clients who are still like clinging to that purple shampoo?
Well, I mean, for one, I am just so happy about this trend. I've been waiting for it. Thank goodness, just for the fact that it is so much healthier for all the clients. But, I will say this, that we have been, at least with my clients, when we do certain trending, things, we have seen right now we are in that real warm, that butter and the cashmere glow and everything like that. But before that, we were kind of in that beigey blonde, that old money blonde. And then before that, it was like more bright blondes. And then before that, it was ashy. So it's kind of one of those things where some clients are going to just hang on tight to the ashy blonde because that's the only thing they want. That's the only thing that they, care for. But luckily, I would say most of my clients are, for one, as long as you give them something beautiful and something stunning, they usually trust you. So a lot of my clients, when they come in, I'm like, hey, why don't we try something a little different? They usually can trust me. But one of the things is that the cashmere glows and the Sahara blondes and those types of things, they're a little darker now. And they're going to be toned a little bit darker. And that is a little bit more challenging than the brighter blondes. Because if you take somebody ashy to bright, they're like, oh my gosh, I actually love this because a little bit of warmth actually gives you brightness, right? So when we trend a little bit more to what we were saying, the cashmere and all that kind of stuff, we're actually toning it down just a little bit. How I usually convince people is that I always say, take a gray piece of construction paper, right? Put it against your face. Does that look good on you? Does that look good on anybody? No, it doesn't look good on anybody. You want something that's really going to bring out your skin tone. You want something that's really going to be just brightening those eyes and everything. And gray, ash ain't gonna do it. So
Well,
usually,
let me ask you this
yeah,
though, because I'm sure a client watching is like, "What do you mean gray construction paper?" And I as a stylist know you're talking about that blue undertone, correct?
yes, yes. So yeah, that the ash, it's consisted of blue and green, right? So and then because it usually gets into that gray. So gray construction paper is what I always use because it's like, it's like, especially if kids, that most of my clients are moms, they can, grab a piece of construction paper and it's not flattering to any skin type. But how I also transition to more of the warmer is that I also keep them pretty bright, if not all over, but like little bright pieces and then always around the face because the money piece is changing. We don't want the big band. We don't want, the like little thin thing and then like dark, here. We want it way more blended, but it's still in. It's still absolutely, for one, just because it's natural.
Yeah.
what happens when we go on a Mexican beach vacation is we're going to lighten more around the face. So it's always going to be around. It's just kind of changing. So keeping that a little bit brighter as you tone everything else down usually can ease people into those warmer toned down blondes.
So for even if you're, the same template I believe would apply no matter what shade we're going for, even if you were more of a brunette or, any type of contrasting color that's lighter, in your opinion, in terms of money piece, what would be today's current depth of a money piece?
Like what I prefer, and I kind of have to, there's a little push and pull with my clients because some people like the thicker money pieces, but I always recommend, like mine's actually, you can kind of see there's that like little teardrop, right? I usually don't recommend it going to the root. And like except for the little bit of the hairline, and then you can kind of pull back a little bit where I don't know why I'm it's the mirror image, but basically you can pull back a little bit, and that's the what I call the teardrop. And so you can get all the thicker pieces, right? But then when you pull back, you get that nice, blonde. But then when you pull forward, you can still feel brunette, you can still feel your natural color, and then that's what gives it the low maintenance. The thicker the band, the higher the maintenance, right? So if you could, so some people, I like hardly even, if they're doing middle part, if they're doing side part, I'll sometimes just do one little tiny baby foil, and then the rest, I basically graduate down. So it turns into that graduation.
Ah, I see. Okay. So yeah, that's helpful. And you for anyone watching, whether you're a client or a stylist, Amy's page is free education. So you can jump over there and probably get more in depth into what we're talking about.
Yes,
Yes.
we have a lot of fun over here in the salon, and we usually try to explain it in a way that clients and hairstylists, especially new ones, can understand and apply.
Yeah. And I started this year talking about pricing and, all the things. And that took up all of my January and into or ending all of my December, into January, I should say, talking about pricing. So we are in a new month, February, the month of love. So this
Right?
month is going to, and moving forward, will just be all love because my goal is never to divide, it's to unite. And
Yes.
which is why, we're having these conversations. I know some stylists get really mad at me because I don't think telling the truth is shaming. I just don't.
No.
But people, our community is so small that we have to protect each other. And I don't think I'm not protecting. I think I'm just being honest so that we can actually correct something, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
So with all of that, I'm not going to get into that side of pricing, but we do have luxury services now that clients have adapted to. So I find it's interesting because that luxury isn't just about color anymore, it's about the experience,
Right.
which leads me to something that's dividing the industry. Are you ready for this one,
Yes. Let's see
Amy?
it. Yes.
Okay. Let me set the stage. So pretend you're in an Uber, right? It's
Mhm.
like, shh, the silent appointment.
Yes. Yes. The
As
silence.
a blonding specialist, your services can take 4, 5, or even 6 hours. So, does a silent chair help you with your flow, or does it make the appointment and process harder?
I actually, I would say I don't mind it. I sometimes I really enjoy when a client, so I have a few clients who like to do silent appointments. We always talk through the consultation, and, we'll have like a little, like, how's everything going kind of thing. But then after we kind of get into it, this one particular client, she brings books, and then like audiobooks. And then funny enough, back in Chicago when I was a color specialist, I had somebody who was just quiet. Like, I always read the room, right? I always will ask questions and things like that. And she was like, yeah. So I was like, okay, we're gonna be quiet with that one. Funny story.
Noted.
And I really thought that she could care less. At the time, I was, color specialist among so many other color specialists in the salon, but she always chose me. And so I probably did her hair for about a year and a half. And so when I was telling everybody when I was moving to Denver, there was emotional, and there was like, oh, that's a bummer. It's like, I'm going to put you to this client. She actually was the one who was the most upset, and she actually cried. And I was flabbergasted because I thought she could care less about me. And the reason why and because I didn't know about this, she told me, she's like, you're the only one who lets me just be me. I have 7 kids at home. And so that was her only time to like have just me time. And, that was at the beginning of my career. So that really, really kind of put me in the point where it's just like, if somebody wants, and I think this is why it's dividing the industry, right? Because people are like, oh, well, you just want us to do the work. You don't care about us. It's like we're the maid or whatever, like where it's like, you don't, look. And I don't think that is a problem. I mean, I'm sure there's some people like that, but some people, they just have a lot going on and they just want to just chill. And when they do that, I actually go a lot quicker because I'm not chit-chatting. And as you can see, I talk with my hands. So,
So do I.
yeah,
I'm this
right.
constantly.
I'll be
Yeah.
like working, and then,
Yeah.
especially if it's a hot time, I'll be like, yeah, what's up with this?
Yeah.
It definitely helps with my flow. Would I want all silent appointments? No. I love my job. I love my people. I love like conversing and, having, knowing all the tea, basically. But as far as the silent appointments go, I actually don't mind them. And, I think it's really important for people that they don't have to, because it is so long, 4 or 5 hours, that they don't have to be, like obligated to make the small chat.
Oh, yeah. And, there are varying degrees of silence, right? You can be silent and polite, and silent and standoffish and awkward and weird. And those are two different things.
Yeah.
When you have someone that's just giving you one word responses and they seem irritated, that's very different than someone that's just quiet, or that just, they're kind, but you can tell. I'm so thankful that I'm someone who understands verbal and physical cues. I will take the hint, and I do not mind working in silence. To your point, I get done so much faster. I don't have to risk saying something that I probably didn't want to say because I'll regret it 6 weeks from now. I'll go, God dang it, why did I even bring that
I
up?
do that all the
Oh my
time.
God. You know what I mean? It just keeps me, I'm not gossiping. I'm not doing any of that I
Yeah.
try so hard not to do, but it's so hard sometimes,
It's just, it is tough because it's like, I do have clients that they'll come after work, and I can tell that they're a little, and I'm like, would you not want to talk today? And they'll be like, well, maybe just like, let me just kind of chill for a little bit. And because I'll straight out ask them. I don't have like the little sign that flips or anything like that. I'm just like, you just tell me if you want to be silent or not. But it is tough because when I'm used to those people who are chatty, I want to talk to them, but then I want to also respect their boundaries as well.
Yes, absolutely. So clients, if you're watching, it's okay. We are good either way. As stylists, we could talk to you, we could not talk to you. You're not going to hurt our feelings because you're in there to get your hair done at the end of the day. And one thing that my mentor, who taught me everything I know. As a baby stylist, I have hung on to this and passed it on to all of the stylists that I mentor. He said, your clients are not your friends. And I'm like, because, I was building my clientele at Tony and Guy. We had 40 stylists and we were, the hottest thing in town. And I've got this clientele, right? And, I've got athletes' wives. I've got, career women, corporate women. I've got just everybody. And I am running my little show, right? He said, your clients are not your friends. You know that, right? And I'm like, what do you mean they're not my friends? Like, this one invited me to dinner. He says, mess their hair up and see how friendly they are. And I'm like, and it ended up happening one time to someone that I had just this rapport with. We're just chatting and chatting, because that's the other thing about being too chatty. You can get too comfortable and forget that they really are there to get their hair done, right? So we can also, that's the other side of that coin.
Yeah, that is one of those things where it's a little tough, because I do have some really friendly clients, and I mentor a lot of people. I have apprentices, and that is a big thing that I always talk about, where it's like, be friendly, be chatty, like do all the things that you want to do. But I usually don't recommend, like hanging out with them, because for one, it blurs the lines for us too, because if we get it to the point where it's like I'm talking about all my life stuff and we're kind of going back and forth, but then all of a sudden, I have something tragic, and then, I'm just laying into them because like I think that they're a friend, then I should give them a friends and family discount, right? Because it's not my time, it's their time. So I always say, like, be friendly, but it's always about them. But it is tough, because a lot of times with they talk about, it's like how you can lose people. It's like, because you don't do new things. It's like they want to come in, they want to chit chat, and they want to like say, hey. And you're just, you always want to do that consultation. And so sometimes I'm just like, okay, before we get into it, what are we doing? What are we wanting to do? And I think that's why I stay relevant. And it's just because I do a consultation with every freaking person that comes in, and annoys a lot of people. But I'm like, I want to know how you're liking it. I want to know if we are changing it. And then I even suggest something if they've been, the same thing for too long, so it's definitely, I think that's great advice because, I consider them my friends, but only inside the workplace.
100%. Yeah. So, and again, for any baby stylist, take that advice and keep it in your hip pocket for the remainder of your career, because it's real. Yes.
If you don't learn it now, you'll learn it later. Like you said.
Okay, that part. You know what still surprises me? How many stylists tell me they've never heard of Virtue Lab products. I found Virtue back in 2017 at a hair show, and I've been hooked ever since. I use it on myself, like this beautiful flourish right here. It's their hair thinning line. There's a full system. There's a shampoo, there's a conditioner, there's a density booster, one that's drug-free, and the other one that has minoxidil in it, which is amazing, you guys. If you haven't tried these products, please do. And it's one of the lines I actually stand behind as a professional. Here's why it's different. Virtue is the only hair care line in the world that uses human-derived keratin, called alpha keratin 60KU. Because it's human derived, your body recognizes it as its own and actually accepts it. We all want products that truly heal and repair hair, right? Not just make it shiny for a day. Virtue does that. It literally fills in the cracks in the damaged areas, strand by strand. So, you guys, trust me, you'll see results after one use, but after 5 washes, honey bunny, the hair will feel like a completely different head of hair. Soft, strong, and actually healthy. So if you're ready to stop masking damage and start repairing it, I know you're ready. Shop Virtue through my link today in the description. Support the show, support your hair. You'll thank me later. Bye. Alrighty, so we are going to switch the energy, because I am the queen of games without my crown. I put the crown away, but
Oh,
trendy games is my favorite part of the show, and I keep switching them up, keep doing different things, just because I think it lightens the mood, it makes it fun. Alrighty, so Amy, it's time to see if you can put your money where your foils are. Yeah, it gets a little corny. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Okay, this game I am calling Fix the Formula. I'm
Okay,
giving you 60 seconds, and here's the scenario. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right, you're like better now than ever. I'm
Let's
going to
go.
set my
I
timer
love this
for.
stuff. I
You're like,
love
I
geeking
live
out
for
about
this.
formulas.
Oh, good. This is perfect. All righty. Here's the scenario. Your client has level 10 overprocessed see through ends and 3 inches of a natural level 6 base.
Hmm.
She wants the viral amber glow. She wants warmth. She wants depth. And she wants it to look expensive. What is your professional prescription to get her there without her hair hitting the floor? Go.
So basically, what I would probably recommend is a high lift. What's her level?
Her level
What's
is 6.
a level 6? Oh, okay. Then I would probably go in and I would foil her natural, healthy level 6, and leave the ends out. Of course, with a ton of K18 and bond builders and all that good stuff. And once she's completely processed, what I would do is I would tone her, and fill her. Basically, I would take a warmer color like a copper. I would explain all of this to her just for the fact that she's going to be terrified when she sees the mirror. But basically, I would tone her with a like coppery color, dry her, and then I would put on like a level 8 or a 9. Most likely, I want a level 8. Probably going to do a 9 just for the fact that she's going to be porous and it's going to turn dark. But that's even just a neutral would work out really well over that copper because it would give her that like really, really like depth of color.
I think you got it. You did it in a minute.
Awesome. Good,
I'm
good, good.
impressed.
Like with all the apprentices and stuff like that, what I do is I'll go through like the hairstyling Facebook pages and like the blonde ones, and then somebody will post something like this is a problem or whatever, what should I do, and I'll like screenshot it and like bring it over to my apprentices. I'm like, okay, how do we solve this problem? So I love doing that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, you were perfect because when I read it back to myself, I'm like trying to make it hard for you so that it can be challenging. I'm like, oh God, what is this even doable? And you did it. I am impressed. I love that. I love when people can put their money where their foils are, where their mouth is, all the things. All righty. So here is my second little game for you. And I call this one the Consultation Carousel. All righty. So this is a role play segment.
Okay.
So I'm going to pretend to be the client. And I think if I'm the client, based on the scenario I'm going to give you, my name would be Karen. All righty.
All right,
I'm
Karen.
kidding. It won't be political Karen. It'll just be crazy Karen. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Since you survived the formula, we're going to see if now you can survive the actual client. All
Yes.
right. Oh boy. Okay. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going to play the role of a TikTok obsessed Karen. Are you ready?
Yes.
And your job, Amy, is to pivot me to a professional reality without ever saying the word no.
Okay.
You're like, uh-oh, we'll see if this is possible. All right, no timer or anything. We're just going to let you go. But Amy, I saw this DIY bond builder hack online where I can just mix it with my grocery store color and get the same results as your $400 service. Can't we just do that today so I can get to my brunch in 2 hours?
I mean, absolutely, if you want to do that. However, you're not going to get professional results without a professional, and especially with professional color. Uh, Unfortunately, if you custom mix your colors and you don't have a license, you don't have the background knowing exactly what colors you're going to do. And, some colors cancel out other colors. So, how do you know that you're going to get your right color without a professional service? But if you don't, that's absolutely fine. But I will be here charging you about double for the color correction, because obviously you're going to do more damage than good. And then the coming in with something that is more damaged and more pigmented, especially with box color, I mean, you're going to have to pay the double price just for the fact that I'm going to have to cut through all that before you get to the color that you actually want.
You didn't tell me no.
No,
You told me I could do it.
do it.
But you stood on business
Mhm.
that, hey, you could do it, but this is the consequence.
Yeah.
Don't change nothing over here in my chair, but go for it, girl.
I think that's the hardest thing is, we always want to get we always want to go and we want to get something that's a lot cheaper. But then a lot of times you get cheap results. I always talk about foundation, right? It's like you've been using this foundation for, you know, five,
Ever.
yeah, like 5 years, and it's been amazing to you, but you're really wanting something new, but then you are also really wanting to budget cut. And then you find like on Pinterest or TikTok that somebody said this elf foundation
Girl.
that's $3 is the dupe for whatever your expensive crap is. And then what happens is you put it on and you're like, oh, it matches the color, but then does it wear? Does it dry? Are you oily at the end of the day? All that kind of stuff. And then you start realizing that, yes, the $3 to $50 foundation, there is value in that, right? So
Yeah.
as a hairstylist, it's like you can go out. I'm a deal shopper too. You can go out, you can find somebody else, and if they do a great job, then perfect. But my doors are always open for you afterwards once you realize my value and what I charge.
Yeah. And when you talk about DIY bond builders and all these things that you see, these elixirs and all these home remedy type things you see on social media by home stylists or what have you, because, having a license, I really honestly think they take it for granted that we are licensed and that this is our craft and what we study 24/7. And they just think, oh, I just saw a post the other day of I think they were in maybe the UK and
Mm,
they're on like their state level what do you go on Capitol Hill, right?
uh-huh.
Because there's the plaintiff is the board wants to deregulate
That's here
beauty
in
school.
the US.
Yeah, they want 1,600 hours to go down to 1,000 hours,
Mhm.
and the beauty school owner is advocating for her school. Like it takes 1,600 hours at least. I know other states are already doing 1,000, but we don't want to do it here. And
Right.
he's saying, why should something that my 15-year-old can do need more than 1,000 hours? And I
Yeah.
thought, in my comments, I said, well, if your 15-year-old can do what we do, then she should become a hairdresser. Because have you seen 15-year-olds that come in who take over doing their own hair? The
Yeah.
average 15-year-old can't do what we do. That's
Right.
number one. And
Yeah.
two, as far as products go, I think they lose sight that these companies that create K18, Olaplex, those are scientists
Yeah.
testing strand by strand to see,
Years in the
your DIY, everybody's hair is different.
Mhm.
You need
It
science behind it.
Yeah, well, I mean, can anybody paint a nail? Yes. Can anybody put color on hair? Yes. However, they don't realize that along with learning, the basics of hair cutting, it's all about infection control, right? I
Yes.
mean, we're learning about what we can treat, what we can't treat.
Yes.
Making sure that we change out our barber side and making sure that
Yeah.
every single brush, comb
Yeah.
anything touches a client, that we got to sanitize it before it touches another client. I mean, we're talking about infection control. So if that 15-year-old is putting all of her instruments in Barbicide and she's doing, everything like EPA and OSHA regulated, then sure, great, let's do that.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you that and yet if she's using it on other people, I mean, there's going to be one day where she puts mascara on somebody and, she puts a mascara on another person, they get an eye infection. It's just,
That's right.
it's extremely important. And I understand that it is basics and we spend a lot of money on continuing education, like for advanced skill work and stuff, but you have to have the basics. And you're talking about your mentor. My old mentor back in Chicago, she was this master colorist. She actually was the what do you call it? The expert witness in malpractice suits. So when somebody got their hair fried off and part of their scalp melted off, she would be the person that would come in and say why this happened and what should have happened, and basically, so she knew all the horror stories. And she even said that one person died from blood poisoning because they put scalp bleach, they put bleach on their scalp and then put them under heat for an hour. And that actually seeped into their skull and they got blood poisoning from it and died. So sure, let's let the 15-year-olds, do chemical services and we'll see
Yeah.
how that goes. It's just,
Yeah, don't have any regulation, no licensing, but I will say, before I get into our last segment where I do invite clients to ask questions directly and we answer them here, clients all tell me I would never let somebody unlicensed touch my hair.
right.
I don't care how much it costs.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't do it.
The
Thank
scary
God.
thing is that if they do deregulate this, and it's not licensed, then unless you actually search for the license that's put up on there, or because
Yeah,
anybody
you're
can
not
say
going to
that
know
they're
who's
certified
licensed
or
or not.
whatever, but there is importance to that license that's on your station, and if there's somebody who doesn't have that and they do great hair because of referrals and stuff like that, I mean, unfortunately, one of those days, if they're not
It's true.
educated, it's
Yeah,
going to
that's true.
go bad, very bad.
Yeah, and I guess you're right. If you deregulate licensing, then neither of us will have a license, whether you're, educated formally or not.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into some of these client questions that I've added to the mix. One, her name is Lauren. And Lauren, let me find your questions because I keep them for some reason on my phone where it's inconvenient to get to. Okay, let me read your question, Lauren. How do you know if your hair is porous or not?
Basically, porosity is how open the cuticle is or how swollen it is. And think of it like a sponge, right? So if we have a sponge and we put it in water, it's going to soak up and it's not going to dry very well, right? So a lot of times people think that if your hair holds a lot of water, it's not porous, but that can be the opposite. So basically, it's how much the water absorbs into your hair and how much it lets go. So obviously, when we have those ends, if our hair's air drying and the ends are the first ones to dry, well, those are the most porous. But we can also, but those are the ones that usually can be sopping wet because it holds so much water. So it's basically just seeing how much it holds and also the texture too. The texture can be like a big one. A lot of times, if you think about like with my hair, if I go from here to here, it's going to be a different texture because this is my natural, which is less porous than the blonded. And if you have any blonding, then it's usually probably porous.
Absolutely, because it blows up the cuticle a bit,
Yeah.
and you're definitely going to lose keratin because the hair is slightly damaged. I mean, you can keep it as healthy as you can keep it,
Yeah.
but you're still damaging your hair when you blonde
Yeah.
in a good way. We
Yeah.
call it. It's healthy damage.
It's healthy
And
damage.
for some people with really super uber fine hair, that porosity actually helps because it gives them lift and some texture, or
Yes.
else the hair is just stringy and flat.
Right.
So porosity is not always the boogeyman. It can be your best friend depending on what your hair type is.
Yes. Oh, and
Yeah.
one of the other things that I was going to mention is that when the hair when you go into the shower and your hair, it takes a long time to actually get wet because it's like almost like beating off of it. A lot of times people think that their hair is super porous because it becomes almost dry. Like especially like when we're talking about highly textured hair, the zigzag, and
Mhm.
those types of things, they think their hair is extra porous because it feels so dry, and it's because they actually have really really tight porosity, and it's less porous because the water is having a hard time getting in. So that's so like it I mean not because everybody always thinks everybody's hair is porous. It's like
Mhm.
it's not just about the dryness.
Yeah, no, that was great. Definitely needed to be noted because porosity can be an entire episode in education. It
Yeah.
really could, you
Mhm.
know. All right, Lisa is the next question. What did she ask? Oh, and this is good for you because you are the lightning queen. Why can some hair be bleached out in one day and others it takes multiple sessions?
So that is that is a big question. Basically, and this is what I always have to talk about my clients, especially when they come in for consultations, because they do see my videos about how like this is what we did, this is what the hair is, and then they come in and they're like, well, why can't I get that today? And
Mhm.
there's multiple things, but one of them is hair level, your natural level. And I always bring out my little tool, but it's basically the level finder, right? So the one has underlying pigments.
Mhm.
So if a 4 comes in and they want to be a bright blonde, so that's uh, up to like a 10. So that's, 6, 7 levels. I don't usually recommend, going 6, 7 levels because what you just said earlier, lightener swells and blows up the cuticle. So even if we use the most amazing bond builders, peptides, all that kind of stuff, we can't lean heavily on that because we know what the science is, right? So what we have to do is I would say 4 levels of lift is probably pretty healthy, right? So if you're coming in at a level 6, 7, 8, which is medium brown to light brown, that's about 4 to 5 levels of lift. Usually that's possible. With anything darker than that, I usually recommend being okay with more of a like dimensional brunette and then going up from there, just for the fact that you're going to be exposing so much warmth because like a level 4, which is dark brown, is primarily red. So we have to break through that dark red to red orange to orange yellow, and then all the way up. So to make sure that we keep the integrity of the hair, we have to kind of stick within those limits. But then that's only if you're natural. And then a lot of people aren't coming in with virgin hair, right? Because they've come in with so many other hairstylist doing something to them. And unfortunately, I get a lot of color corrections, right? I'm the last resort because I am a little bit more expensive. And so people, kind of go and then they find me and they're like, okay, we're willing to pay the
Yeah.
price because I haven't been able to get what I wanted. That means previous history. So if you have darker hair color on your darker hair, that pushes us back even more. And that's even more warmth that we have to break through. So If you are a lighter blonde or a light brown, it's pretty possible for you as long as you don't have previous history. But then it like if I'm a level 8 and I come in and I box dyed my hair brown, that also means that I'm not going to be able, most likely, I'm not going to be able to be blonde, the bright blonde that I want for the session. So I always under promise and over deliver. That's what I always try to do because a lot of times, people will come in and I'm just like, girl, we're not getting this today. And then it does. But hair is unpredictable, but that's why we specialize in and we have to really like hold true to our knowledge because maybe it does do that. But for the most part, like 90% of the time it won't. And so, you know, having those real expectations, giving those to your client, and then also educating your client on why. Because there's so many times where people will come in and I pull out my little tool, I show them all the levels, and they're like, wow, nobody's ever told me about
Yeah.
this. And
Yeah.
then once you tell them and educate them and they realize that you actually know some things, they trust you and they say, yes, let's book the 2 sessions, 3 sessions, 4 sessions, whatever usually I recommend. And they're on board with you. But if unfortunately, a lot of people are like, yeah, let's do it. And then if they come out orange, which they most likely would have with any hairstylist, it's now your fault. So,
Yeah, no, I think that's a great explanation. And, for in layman's terms, basically it depends on your starting level, your starting point in general, right? So if your hair is all natural, then if you are anything under a level 6, it's going to take you multiple sessions to
mhm,
reach a level 10. But if you're starting at 7 and above, you can get it all done in one day. It would
yeah.
be quite simple because you don't have that many levels to lift. And
And
if
there's,
you come in, go ahead.
oh,
Yep.
I was just about to say, because there are hairstylists that could get you to that, what you were
Yeah.
saying, like if you're darker than a level 6 in one session. However, the integrity of your hair is not going to be.
That part. Yeah. Yeah. All of that stuff matters. And that's why, to your point, what you just said, Amy, Lisa, asking the question, that's why maybe if you're a level 2 and your girlfriend is a level 2 and you're like, well, my stylist made me come back 4 times. Her stylist got her there in one day. I would compare notes, the health of the hair.
Yeah.
Like, what does your hair feel like versus what does her hair feel like?
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, that's really up to the stylist. It's up to their discretion to have integrity going into that service or not.
Yeah. And
Mm-hmm. They know better.
I'm always about, I always say I'm in the business of beautiful hair. And if I bleach fry the crap out of your hair and there's like stringy ends and fluffy ends, that's not beautiful. Sorry, I don't want to do that. I want
Perfect.
healthy, long, beautiful, blonde hair. And you can get there. It's just not in one session.
Yeah, perfect. All right. I hope that answers your question, Lisa. So thank you, Lauren and Lisa, for your questions. I appreciate that. And Amy, before we get out of here, where can people find you and your amazingness?
So last time I didn't have a TikTok, and this time I do.
I
So
told you.
yeah, and I was actually very surprised. I got a pretty big following pretty quickly on there. But both my Instagram and my TikTok as Hair by Amy W.
Love it. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. Remember, Trendy isn't just what's on the screen, it's the expertise behind the chair. So I hope you learned something. I hope you follow along my journey in podcasting. Follow Trendy W Kim Allison on TikTok and Instagram, even though I hate Instagram and it clearly hates me. Because it literally, I lost so many followers. I have no idea why, but it doesn't matter because I'm also on Substack, which is my new best friend. And I broadcast all of my visuals on YouTube, audio, wherever you listen to your podcast. Until next week, I'll see you. Bye, Amy.
Hi.